Welcome back, friends. Today, I want to share something that might change the way you learn English. Most people think fluency starts with speaking, but actually, it starts much deeper in your mind. When I first began learning another language, I focused on grammar, words, and pronunciation. But no matter how much I studied, my voice would freeze when I tried to speak. I realized something powerful. My problem wasn't language, it was mindset. Our thoughts decide how confidently we speak. If your mind says, I'll make a mistake, your mouth believes it. But if your mind says, it's okay, I can do this, your words start to flow. Today, we'll explore how to train your brain to think fluently, not just speak fluently. So grab a cup of tea, take a breath, and let's dive into how real fluency begins inside your mind. So let's start with the big question. What does it really mean when we say fluency starts in your mind? It's not just a catchy phrase. It's the real foundation of how people speak with confidence and flow. Before your mouth moves, your brain does the work. It organizes ideas, finds words, and builds sentences. If your thoughts are calm and confident, your speech follows the same rhythm. But if your thoughts are filled with fear or doubt, your words stumble and get stuck. Let me tell you a quick story. When I was teaching English in Japan, I met a student named Aiko. She was smart, funny, and knew a lot of vocabulary. But every time we practiced speaking, she froze. She'd whisper, I can't speak fast enough, or my English sounds terrible. Her grammar was fine. Her pronunciation was clear. But her mind was her biggest obstacle. So I asked her one simple question. What do you tell yourself before you speak? She looked surprised. I tell myself not to make mistakes, she said. And that's exactly why she couldn't speak freely. Because when your mind focuses on fear, your brain goes into defense mode. It tries to protect you from embarrassment, but it also stops you from expressing yourself. Fluency isn't just a skill, it's a mindset of permission. Permission to try, to fail, and to keep going anyway. Think about children learning their first language. They don't worry about mistakes. They just speak, play, laugh, and try again. That's the purest form of fluency, fearless communication. Now let's look at what really happens inside your mind when you speak a foreign language. Your brain needs to convert thoughts into English. If you're still translating from your native language, there's a delay. It's like walking with a heavy backpack. Every step takes effort. But when you think directly in English, that backpack disappears. Everything feels lighter and faster. You can train your brain to do this. Start small. Describe what you see in English. The sun is bright. My coffee smells good. I'm feeling okay. It may sound simple, but it's powerful. Each time you think in English, you're building mental connections. You're teaching your brain that English is safe, normal, and natural. And the more you practice this mental shift, the easier fluency becomes. Your brain starts to respond automatically, just like it does in your first language. Here's another secret. Fluency doesn't mean speaking fast. It means speaking with flow. Flow comes from clarity, not speed. If your thoughts are organized, your words will be smooth, even if they're slow. Fluency is about connection, not perfection. You don't need to know every word. You just need to keep your thoughts moving forward. A fluent mind doesn't panic when it forgets a word. It finds another way to express the idea. It's flexible, creative, and forgiving. So when we say fluency starts in your mind, we mean that your thoughts are the engine behind your voice. If the engine runs smoothly, your words flow easily. If the engine is filled with fear, the whole system slows down. That's why mindset matters more than memorizing words. Because no matter how many words you know, if you don't trust yourself to use them, they stay locked inside your head. When you build a calm and confident mindset, you unlock those words. You give them life. You give yourself permission to be imperfect. And that's when real fluency begins. So next time you practice English, don't just train your tongue. Train your thoughts. Remind yourself, I'm allowed to speak. I'm allowed to learn. I'm allowed to make mistakes. Fluency doesn't start with language. It starts with belief. And once your mind believes, your words will follow naturally. Now that we understand how fluency begins in the mind, let's talk about what often gets in the way. Because even when you know grammar and vocabulary, your mindset can still block you from speaking freely. I call these mental blocks. They're invisible, but powerful. And almost every English learner has faced them at some point. Let's explore the three biggest ones: fear of mistakes, translating every word, and negative self talk. The first one is fear of making mistakes. It sounds simple, but it's the biggest enemy of fluency. When you're afraid of being wrong, your brain freezes. You start to overthink every word before it leaves your mouth. You ask yourself, what if they laugh? What if I say something stupid? And suddenly, the conversation is gone. Your focus shifts from expressing ideas to avoiding failure. But here's the truth: mistakes are not the problem. They're proof that you're trying. No one learns a language without getting things wrong first. Even native speakers make mistakes every day. The difference is, they don't stop speaking because of them. So, the next time you say something imperfect, smile and move on. Each mistake is a step toward fluency, not away from it. The second block is translating everything in your head. This one is tricky because it feels natural at first. Your brain wants to connect English with your first language, but translation slows you down. It's like trying to run a race while reading a map. You can't keep the same rhythm. You get stuck searching for the right word instead of letting your thoughts flow. Think about it. When you speak your native language, do you translate? Of course not. You just think and speak. That's the goal for English too. The key is to start small. Try to think short, simple sentences directly in English. I'm hungry. It's raining. I'm tired but happy. Don't worry about perfection. Focus on the feeling of thinking in English. With time, your brain will stop translating automatically. You'll notice that your words come faster and more naturally. Now, let's talk about the third block: negative self talk. This one is sneaky because it happens inside your head. It's the quiet voice that says, I'll never be fluent. My accent is bad. People won't understand me. That voice may sound small, but it has real power. Your brain listens to every word you say to yourself. If you keep telling it you're not good enough, it believes you. And once it believes that, your confidence fades. But the good news is, you can change that voice. You can teach your brain to speak kindly to you. Start replacing negative phrases with supportive ones. Instead of I'm bad at English, say, I'm improving every day. Instead of I always forget words, say, I remember more than yesterday. These changes might seem small, but they build strength inside your mind. Your thoughts create your reality. When your thoughts become kind, your confidence grows. And when confidence grows, fluency follows. So let's recap these three mental blocks. First, fear of mistakes. It stops you before you start. Second, translation. It slows your natural rhythm. Third, negative self-talk. It destroys your confidence from the inside. Each one of these can hold you back. But the moment you recognize them, you take back control. You can choose to face fear instead of avoiding it. You can choose to think directly in English instead of translating. You can choose to encourage yourself instead of criticizing. That's the real work of becoming fluent, training your mind, not just your mouth. Because fluency isn't only about speaking quickly. It's about thinking clearly and feeling confident enough to express yourself. When your thoughts are free, your words will follow. So next time you practice, listen, not just to your voice, but to your inner voice. Make sure it's cheering you on, not holding you back. And remember, the strongest English speakers aren't the ones with perfect grammar. They're the ones who believe in their ability to communicate. No matter what. Now that we've talked about the mental blocks, let's move to the brighter side: how to build confidence. because confidence doesn't just appear one day. It's something you create step by step. The good news is, anyone can build it. Even if you've struggled for years, it's never too late to start. So let's explore how to train your mind to think and feel confident when you speak English. The first step is positive self-talk. It may sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Your brain believes what it hears most often, especially when it comes from you. If you tell yourself, "My English is bad," your brain accepts that as truth. But if you say, "I'm learning every day," or "I can do this," your brain starts to believe that too. It's like planting seeds of confidence in your mind. At first, they're small, almost invisible, but with repetition, they grow. Every time you repeat a positive thought, you strengthen a new mental pathway. And soon, your automatic reaction changes from fear to courage. So try this every morning. Look in the mirror and say, "I'm improving. I'm becoming more confident." Do it even when you don't fully believe it. The belief will grow with time. The second step is visualization. This is one of my favorite tools. Your mind doesn't always know the difference between real experience and imagined experience. That's why athletes visualize their performance before every game. You can do the same with English. Close your eyes and picture yourself speaking confidently. See yourself smiling, listening, and being understood. Imagine the feeling of calm and flow as words come out naturally. The more vividly you imagine it, the stronger your brain's connection becomes. It's like a rehearsal for success. When you finally speak in real life, your mind says, "I've done this before." And that familiarity gives you calmness and courage. The third step is to embrace mistakes. This one takes practice because we've all been taught that mistakes are bad. But in language learning, mistakes are your best teachers. Each one shows you what to improve next. If you avoid mistakes, you avoid growth. Think about it. Children don't learn their first language by avoiding errors. They learn by trying, failing, and trying again. So instead of saying, "I made a mistake," try saying, "I learned something new." It changes how your brain reacts. Instead of fear, you feel curiosity. Instead of shame, you feel motivation. Mistakes mean progress, not failure. The more you make, the faster you learn. The fourth step is private practice, talking to yourself in English. This is one of the most underrated techniques. When you speak alone, there's no pressure, no judgment. You can experiment with words, play with sentences, and practice freely. Describe what you're doing, what you see, what you feel. "I'm cooking dinner." "I'm planning my weekend." "I'm a little tired today." The goal isn't perfection. The goal is to make English your natural voice. Every time you speak to yourself, you tell your brain that English is safe, and that sense of safety builds confidence. Let's connect all these steps. Positive self-talk gives you belief. Visualization gives you direction. Embracing mistakes gives you freedom. Private practice gives you safety. Together, they form a powerful mindset, one that supports you instead of holding you back. When you build confidence in your mind, your words follow naturally. You no longer wait for perfection. You simply start speaking. And that's how fluency grows, from courage, not from fear. So here's your little reminder. You don't need to be fearless to speak English. You just need to take small, brave steps every day. Talk kindly to yourself. Imagine your success. Welcome your mistakes. And give yourself the space to grow. Because confidence isn't a gift you receive, it's a skill you practice. And every time you choose to believe in yourself, your fluency takes one step forward. Now that you've learned how to build confidence, let's make it practical. Let's talk about daily mental habits, small actions you can do every day to support your fluency journey. Because the truth is, fluency doesn't grow in one big step. It grows through small, consistent moments. What you think and do each day shapes how naturally English flows from your mind. The first daily habit is thinking in English. This one sounds simple, but it's a game changer. Every time you think in English, you train your brain to stay in that language longer. Start small, even with one sentence. When you wake up, say in your mind, I'm getting out of bed. When you eat breakfast, think, this coffee smells nice. When you walk to work, describe what you see. The sky is blue today. You don't need complex grammar. What matters is building a bridge between your thoughts and English words. Over time, your brain begins to choose English automatically. And that's how fluency becomes effortless. It becomes part of how you think. The second habit is talking to yourself. Yes, it might feel a little strange at first, but trust me, it works. When you speak out loud, you practice pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence all at once. You can talk about anything: what you're doing, what you're planning, how you feel. For example, I'm cooking pasta tonight. I had a good meeting. I'm learning new words today. You're not performing for anyone. You're training your brain and your mouth to work together. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Soon, your brain will stop freezing during real conversations. It will recognize the rhythm you've practiced in private. The third habit is using calm, slow inner speech. Many learners believe that speaking fast means speaking fluently, but fluency is not speed, it's flow. If you rush, your mind gets tense, your tongue tightens, and words slip away. So, slow down. When you think or speak in English, do it calmly. Let the words come out at their own pace. This helps your brain stay relaxed and focused. A calm mind produces clearer speech. Remember, slow is smooth, and smooth becomes fast later. You'll find that your sentences sound more natural when you stop pushing for speed. The fourth habit is setting mind time each day. This is a few minutes you dedicate to living in English, mentally and emotionally. You can do it anytime, while walking, cooking, or sitting on the bus. During this time, only allow English in your thoughts. Don't worry about perfection or grammar. Just think and live in English for those few minutes. For example, you might imagine explaining your day to a friend in English, or simply notice your surroundings and describe them silently. These short English moments add up over time. They rewire your brain to think in English automatically, and that's how you build mental fluency without even opening a textbook. Here's the beautiful thing: these habits don't require extra time. They fit naturally into your day. You're already thinking, walking, eating, and doing things. You just shift them into English. That's how you create an English environment inside your mind, even if you live in a non-English country. Consistency is more important than intensity. 5 minutes a day is better than 1 hour once a week, because your brain learns through repetition, not effort. The more often you practice, the more natural it becomes. So, let's review. Think in English, talk to yourself, slow down your inner speech, and give yourself a few minutes of English-only time each day. These may sound like small actions, but they build the foundation of fluency. Fluency isn't built in a classroom. It's built in your daily life, in the quiet moments when no one's watching. When your thoughts start to sound like English, that's when you truly begin to speak it freely. So, take these small steps every day, and you'll soon realize that English isn't something you study, it's something you live. Now that we've talked about the mindset and habits, let's make it more personal. I want to share some real stories, moments when mindset truly changed how people spoke a new language. Because sometimes hearing someone else's journey helps you believe in your own. Let me start with my own story. When I was learning Spanish, I remember how nervous I was to speak. I always thought, what if I say it wrong? What if people laugh? So I stayed quiet. I studied vocabulary, practiced grammar, but I rarely spoke. And because of that, my progress was slow. Then one day, I met a friend named Carlos. He didn't speak perfect English, but he spoke confidently. He made mistakes, laughed at them, and kept talking. And guess what? Everyone loved talking to him. That's when I realized that fluency wasn't about perfection. It was about connection. Carlos taught me that mistakes don't stop communication. Fear does. So I started to change my mindset. Each time I made a mistake, I said to myself, that's progress. I began to speak more, even when I wasn't sure. And slowly, the fear started to fade. A few years later, I had a student named Lena. She was learning English for her career. She understood grammar perfectly, but when it came to speaking, she froze. Her sentences stopped halfway. Her voice got small. I asked her what she was thinking before she spoke. She said, I'm scared they'll think I'm stupid. I looked at her and said, you're not afraid of English. You're afraid of judgment. We started working not on her pronunciation, but on her mindset. Every class, we practiced saying small positive phrases like, I can do this, and it's okay to be imperfect. We also did visualization exercises. She'd close her eyes and imagine herself giving a confident presentation. At first, she laughed and said it felt silly. But after a few weeks, something changed. Her sentences started to flow. She smiled more. By the end of the course, she gave a full presentation in English, mistakes and all, and the audience applauded. She told me afterward, it wasn't my English that changed, it was my mind. And she was absolutely right. Another story I'll never forget is about a man named Raj. He worked in an international company and had to lead meetings in English. He knew all the technical terms but still felt stuck when speaking. He said, when I start talking, my mind goes blank. We found that his biggest problem wasn't vocabulary, it was overthinking. He was constantly checking if every word was correct, which stopped his flow. So we created a new rule for him: speak first, correct later. In our sessions, he was not allowed to stop mid-sentence. He had to keep going, even if the words weren't perfect. At first, it was hard, but soon his sentences became smoother. By focusing on ideas instead of grammar, his confidence grew. Now he leads international meetings with ease. These stories remind us of something powerful. Mindset is the foundation of every success in language learning. You can have the best teacher, the best materials, but if your thoughts are filled with fear, you'll stay silent. And silence is the real enemy of fluency. But when you shift your mindset, when you choose to be kind to yourself, to be brave, to stay curious, your words begin to flow naturally. That's when learning becomes joyful. That's when English stops being a subject and becomes part of your life. So think of your own story. Maybe you've been afraid to speak. Maybe you've doubted yourself. That's okay. Every fluent speaker you admire once felt the same way. The difference is they didn't let fear win. They took small steps, made mistakes, and kept going. You can do the same. Fluency isn't about being perfect. It's about being brave enough to keep trying. And if you believe in that, then you're already halfway there. You've heard the stories, you've learned about mindset. Now it's time to take action. In this part, I want to guide you through a simple mindset practice you can do right now. No fancy tools, no apps, just you, your mind, and a few minutes of focus. Because true change begins the moment you decide to practice what you've learned. Let's start by finding a quiet moment. If you can, sit comfortably or just relax your shoulders. Take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. You don't have to do anything perfectly. Just be here, present with me. Now, I want you to repeat some powerful sentences, either out loud or in your mind. These are not just words. They are commands to your brain. They tell your mind what to believe, how to feel, and what to focus on. So, say them with intention. Here we go. I am learning English every day. It's okay to make mistakes. I can speak English. I am improving step by step. Don't rush. Feel each sentence as you say it. Imagine those words sinking deep into your thoughts. Each one is like a drop of confidence filling your mind. Now, let's make it personal. Think about your day in English. What did you do this morning? Maybe you woke up, had coffee, checked your phone. Say it in English, even if it's simple. I woke up at 7. I had breakfast. I'm listening to this podcast now. This is called thinking in English, a small but powerful daily practice. You're not just learning English, you're living in it, even for a few minutes. Next, let's add a short challenge. For the next 5 minutes after this podcast, I want you to stay in English. Whatever you do, walking, cooking, or resting, describe it in English in your mind. No pressure, no perfection, just observation. Notice how your brain feels when you do this. It might feel strange at first, but soon it becomes natural. Your brain starts to adapt. It begins to understand that English isn't just a school subject. It's part of your daily life. And here's something magical about this practice. It rewires your brain. Every time you think in English, you're strengthening a new neural pathway. You're teaching your mind to connect ideas directly to English words, without translation. That's how fluency grows quietly, naturally, inside your head. It's not about big dramatic breakthroughs. It's about small, steady moments of English thinking that add up over time. Now, I want to remind you of something important. This exercise isn't just about language, it's about mindset. When you speak these affirmations, you're training your mind to be kind and patient. When you think in English, you're showing your brain that it's safe to express itself. When you stay in English for a few minutes, you're building mental endurance. All of this shapes how confidently you'll speak in the future. So let's recap what you just did. You breathed deeply to calm your mind. You repeated positive statements to reprogram your thoughts. You described your day in English to connect language with real life. And you committed to a short challenge, 5 minutes of English thinking. These simple actions may look small, but they have a powerful effect. They build mental strength, focus, and belief, the real foundation of fluency. Before we wrap up this practice, take one more deep breath. Remind yourself, I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm doing my best. That's all you need to move forward. Fluency doesn't come from pressure, it comes from presence. The more you practice this mindful way of learning, the faster your confidence will grow. So keep these words close to your heart, repeat them often, and trust the process. Because every time you choose to think in English, you're not just learning words, you're shaping the way your mind sees the world. We've reached the final part of today's episode, and I want to take a moment to slow down. Let's breathe, reflect, and tie everything together. Because sometimes the real learning happens when we look back and see how far we've come. Today, you've discovered something powerful. The fluency doesn't begin with your tongue, but with your thoughts. It's not just about memorizing words or practicing grammar. It's about shaping how your mind sees English. Not as a mountain to climb, but as a path to explore. Let's take a quick journey through what we learned. First, we talked about mindset, the invisible force that controls your confidence. You learned that before you can speak fluently, you have to think fluently. Your thoughts are the engine behind your words. If your thoughts are full of fear, your words will hesitate. But if your thoughts are kind, calm, and confident, your voice will follow that same rhythm. Then, we explored the mental blocks that hold many learners back: fear of mistakes, translation, and negative self-talk. You learned that fear freezes you, translation slows you, and negative self-talk drains your confidence. But the moment you recognize these blocks, you gain the power to change them. Because awareness is the first step to transformation. After that, we built new tools: positive self-talk, visualization, and embracing mistakes. You learned how to train your brain with daily habits like thinking in English and speaking to yourself. Each of those steps builds tiny bridges inside your mind, connecting thoughts to language. That's how fluency grows, quietly, naturally, one thought at a time. You also heard real stories, people who felt the same fears you do, but learned to move through them. You heard how mindset turns silence into speech and hesitation into confidence. Those stories remind us that we're all learners, no matter what level we're at. And that's something beautiful, because learning keeps us alive, curious, and connected. Then we practiced together. You repeated positive affirmations. You thought about your day in English. You gave your mind a few minutes to live in another language. It may seem small, but those moments are powerful. They rewire your brain little by little until English becomes a part of who you are. Now, as we come to the end, I want you to remember this. Fluency isn't a finish line. It's a journey. There will be days when words come easily and days when they don't. There will be moments of pride and moments of doubt, but both are part of growth, because every time you choose to keep going, even when it's hard, you're training more than your mouth. You're training your heart to stay brave, and that's what real fluency is made of: courage, patience, and kindness toward yourself. So, as you step away from this episode, take these thoughts with you. You don't need to be perfect to speak English. You just need to be present. You don't need to know every word. You just need to believe in your ability to communicate. Fluency grows from the inside out, from belief to thought, from thought to voice. Every time you think in English, you are becoming fluent. Every time you say something brave, even imperfectly, you are becoming fluent. And every time you forgive yourself for a mistake, you are becoming fluent. Because fluency isn't something you earn, it's something you practice day by day. So here's my final message to you. Be patient with yourself. Keep showing up. Keep believing. Keep practicing. You're doing better than you think. And the fact that you're here, listening, learning, and reflecting, that already means you're on the right path. Fluency is not a dream, it's a process. And you're living it right now. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this episode gave you not just knowledge, but inspiration. Remember, the mind is where your voice begins. So train it with kindness, fill it with courage, and let it speak through you. Because fluent speaking truly starts in your mind. And that's where we'll end today's episode. Take a moment to smile. You've just spent time training your most powerful tool, your mind. Every word you heard, every thought you practiced, helps you move one step closer to fluency. Remember, you don't have to speak perfectly. You just have to keep speaking. You don't have to feel confident all the time. You just have to stay curious and kind to yourself, because progress is built from small moments like this one. Calm, quiet, and full of intention. So keep thinking in English. Keep talking, even to yourself. Keep believing that your voice deserves to be heard. Fluency isn't somewhere far away. It's growing inside you right now. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Until next time, take care, stay motivated, and remember, fluent speaking truly begins in your mind.